Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for by this very much live impromptu video. And I just got a beautiful comment on Quora, which I'm going to read in a moment. And then I sometimes ask myself, why do I keep making these videos? This is like, why do I keep writing about Neo-Advaita? Because, I've made 200 or 300 videos and I've written quite a few articles. And it's comments like this, partially to remind myself of the delusion. Neo-Advaita is very spiritual bypass. Spirituality in any of its forms is very subtle, and it's like an addiction, and it calls to me. I'm often, I've said a firm no to Neo-Advaita, but man, is it tempting to just go back and forget about the world and not deal with anything. Aw, Abir, thank you. Thanks, Abir. So below this video, I've posted an article that I wrote on Quora that gives an overview of the modern satsang scene. I don't even want to call it the satsang scene, but you know what I mean. The modern satsang scene. And then someone wrote a really beautiful comment, which I wanted to read. Okay, this person, and actually, I want to talk a little bit about mental health and trauma and Neo-Advaita. So this person wrote, when I first came on here, I came with my own set of experiences, never having heard of Advaita Vedanta and having only a hazy idea of what enlightenment was supposed to be. The first thing I thought when I encountered the Quora enlightened was, and by that she means there's all these people who write on Quora and share the Neo-Advaita message. So the first thing I thought when I encountered the Quora Neo-Advaita enlightened was, how can these people be so wrong? There were so many of them, and yet they were all saying the same thing. And this person then wrote the same wrong thing. I tried to keep an open mind and figure out if I was just misunderstanding them, and also if I thought they'd had a legitimate experience. So I'm going to pause right there. So that's one of the things that's tricky about Neo-Advaita is within the Neo-Advaita community, there is this kind of consensus, and you have all these different voices from across the globe, across cultures and language, and saying in essence the same thing. So part of what these people are saying is, I woke up to this truth and you can too, and here's how. And so it's very tempting to be like, wow, like these little explosions of truth are happening all around the globe, and I want to be a part of that. And of course, we all want to be free. Who doesn't want to be free and happy, right? Like, not happy in the worldly sense of the world, but everybody wants to be happy and peaceful and free. And so the Neo-Advaita message is like, like I'm going to pretend I'm a Neo-Advaita person for a moment and be like, and one day I awoke to the truth, and then I knew that I was always at peace and that everyone was always at peace. It's so seductive, right? They're offering happiness. They're offering they're offering freedom. Forget happiness. They're offering freedom. So it's very tempting. And this person pointed out that one of the reasons people fall for Neo-Advaita is because you've got all these different voices offering the same message. And so it sounds true. Sounds. I'll go back to that comment. I tried to keep an open mind and figure out if I was just misunderstanding them, and also if they'd had a legitimate experience. What I concluded was that most of them had some form of legitimate experience, but that the experience was extremely stunted, and that it had been, in fact, even more stunted by the idea that they all thought they reached the right conclusion and then had stopped trying. Preach it, sister. Thank you. So the truth is, I would be a Neo-Advaita teacher myself, except, and I'll get to the except in a moment. Here's why. Uh, we'll start with the except. Except that I'm in the process of healing very severe complex PTSD. For those of you who don't know what complex PTSD is, it's how it happens. There's different theories, and there's actually different ways it can happen. But what it is your nervous system is in essence never at rest. There's this thing called the fight or flight system. Well, in complex PTSD, your nervous system is it's almost like it's always gravitating towards um, the flight or fight, towards the deer in headlight, flight, fight, or freeze, really, response. Like that has been kind of hardwired as you're kind of just naturally always moving towards a freak out. In essence, your nervous system is never at rest. So that's why I'm not a Neo-Advaita teacher, because if it wasn't for that, I would be. Here's why. So I studied the teachings and I went to some satsangs, and then I had not even a big, but I could see, I could experience some of the truth of what these people were talking about, that behind every thought, there's a witness. And that witness is always there. Sometimes it's obscured. It's obscured by various emotions, various mental, and that witness is always at peace. You could say, I don't even like the word witness, but consciousness or presence. So I saw the truth of what they were saying. And then I thought, oh my God, am I enlightened? And I would go through periods where it's like, I think I'm enlightened. And then I would get slammed with a PTSD trigger, and I'd be like, oh, freaking out. And I'm like, well, I'm obviously not enlightened. Like, maybe awareness is still shining, but it's like 1,000 miles away now. And so for me, there was this constant back and forth between freedom, peace, and like, emotional turbulence, like huge emotional turbulence. So at a certain point, I was like, okay, whatever Ramana Maharshi was talking about, I haven't settled into it. Maybe I've seen it, but I haven't settled into it. But if I didn't have complex PTSD, I would have fallen for the delusion that I was enlightened. I would have fallen for the same delusion that all these other teachers have fallen for. And that I was enlightened. And the thing is it's very real. Whether you call it presence, awareness, Buddha mind, Satchitananda, the self, it's very real. It's very palpable. It's very powerful. Once you've touched it, even just once, then you'll turn a corner. Like once there's a clear scene, and I'm not trying to brag, and I'm not trying to put myself above people. I'm just trying to share my experience. Once I saw it, in fact, I remember the day, the moment where I most clearly saw it. I was in a satsang, and the teacher was just talking. The teacher was talking about how they had seen it. And I just had this moment of, holy shit, behind everything, behind all my thoughts, all my feelings, behind my sense of identity, there's this mysterious presence. And if I hadn't had complex PTSD, I would have just been like, I'm enlightened. Because the word game so, Ramana Maharshi talks about ceaseless immersion in the self. So what you could say in that moment, the personality or the mind was immersed in the self. And when the mind is immersed in the self, then the self shines clearly. And then when the mind is turned outward or turned away, then it doesn't. The self isn't seen. It's still there. But so the Neo-Advaita word game, and that's all Neo-Advaita is a word game based on an experience, probably similar, not so different from the experience I had, is, see, while Ramana Maharshi talks about that enlightenment is full submersion in the self and never leaving, the continuous experience. Neo-Advaita says, well, even if you don't, they won't quite so directly say it, but you can catch it, is, even if you're not feeling it in the moment, it's still there. Like the sun's always shining. And so basically what you have, in my view, is you have these people who had a moment of clear seeing and maybe have lots of moments of clear seeing, but aren't fully immersed in it, aren't effortlessly immersed, because that's what Ramana said enlightenment was effortless immersion in the self. And so then you have them off and teaching, trying to lead people to a destination they haven't reached. So I'm in a complete agreement with this person that they had a legitimate experience, but that, yes, it was stunted or not the full. I would say they had clear seeing is the way I would language it. So this person continues. At some point, I realized that Advaita Vedanta was different than this so-called Neo-Advaita, and that Neo-Advaita was infinitely more flawed than the tenets on which it was based. Infinitely, sister, very flawed. It makes me mad, really, because I see all the people being misled and actively discouraged from pursuing the inconvenient truth that these people are simply wrong. And the inconvenient truth is also that you have to work your ass off to get to that place of effortless, Ramana called it sahaj samadhi. Like you can't just go to satsangs and just like do nothing. A rare few will just spontaneously wake up. But yeah, it is an inconvenient truth. So, and then this is brilliant what the person says next. What they're seeing really is not that difficult to see. It isn't. It's easy to clearly point to it, but there's so much more to see beyond it. Yes, like how to live life and how to integrate this and how to integrate that seeing till it's effortless and permanent. It's maddening to watch them act like they've conquered Mount Everest when really all they've done is scaled a foothold, planted a flag, and told everyone they've reached the top. Brilliant. Couldn't have said it better. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for your post. It does give me some added perspective on something that's been bothering me for some time. You are welcome, and thank you for your amazing post. And so I'm not going to mention this person's name, but on Quora, you can just click on their name and learn a little bit about a person. And this person has contributed to childhood, to other, like in Quora, they have you can think of them as subfolders or topics. This person has contributed to childhood trauma and abuse, and borderline personality disorder. So, so what I want to say is that one of the huge issues in the Neo-Advaita movement is that a lot of people who go to these, and as was myself, are seeking treatment for mental illness. And I don't say mental illness with any scorn. I clearly have complex PTSD. And so there's no judgment, like I see mental illness is basically it's a that's a whole nother topic. People are really suffering with very complicated issues. Like this person wrote about borderline personality disorder, childhood abuse. These are complex issues, and they're seeking healing and release. I'm guessing this person is, a lot of people who go to Neo-Advaita satsangs, they're seeking release from immense suffering. And so the thing is Neo-Advaita, if practiced strenuously, will literally destroy you. If you, especially anyone, but especially someone who has a condition like this, because it's spiritual bypass city. Neo-Advaita teaches self-inquiry to people who are not properly prepared for self-inquiry. Ramana Maharshi said, but self-inquiry will not be successful unless you have one-pointedness of mind and a primarily sattvic mind. A primarily sattvic mind means a primarily peaceful mind. So if you're trying to do self-inquiry and you have, like myself, extreme volatile emotional states caused from, trauma or self-inquiry is going to fuck you up, as it did me, because it is a dissociative practice. It dissociates you from your feelings. It'll give you short-term relief, but then you'll get this kind of high. I got this kind of high, and then I would crash, and then I would seek the high, and then I would crash. And then over and over, there's the feeling of, oh my God, I found it. Oh my God, I lost it. Oh my God, I found it. Oh my God, I lost it, over and over. And it led me to the point of suicide. And I'm not the only one. Marian so beautifully wrote, there are many narcissists hiding out as teachers and gurus. It's extremely dangerous territory. Well said. And narcissists love to feed off sensitive, and some of them, narcissists love to feed off sensitive, wounded people. It's part of how they roll. So, thank you so much for the beautiful comment to the person on Quora. And thank you, Marian, for, yes, that one more piece. The sheer error. And see, here's something else that they won't tell you is without the proper preparation, self-inquiry will make you arrogant. Because self-inquiry is about realizing your identity as God, realizing your identity as perfect. Well, if you're not properly prepared for that, it's going to just inflate your ego. Did it to me. I'm still recovering from that. I became so arrogant on the spiritual path. So arrogant. I thought I was better than everyone else. I'm still recovering from that. I made a lot of progress, but it will inflate your ego. That's why there are preparatory practices before self-inquiry that are based in humility. The preparatory practices, karma yoga and bhakti yoga, are based in humility. But who wants to be humble when you can be perfect, i.e. feel perfect, i.e. think you're perfect? So those are a few thoughts today. Wow, we've got 3 people live right now. Welcome to everyone. Thank you as always, Marion. You always just have so much to contribute. Really appreciate you. And really appreciate this person's comment. I'm going to wrap up, but if anyone else has any other comments or questions, now is the time. All right, dear ones, wish you a blessed day. Thank you so much. I can't even tell you how much this channel has helped me. And I'm just delighted that in the process I get to help a few others. Take care. Big love.